Hello, and welcome to lesson 16 of Financial Sobriety School. My name is Linda Parmar. I am the founder of Financial Sobriety School. I am a financial sobriety expert. Thank you so much for tuning in to this lesson. What I want to talk about today is what you might be trying to heal with your spending, or what are you trying to heal with your spending? And this idea came to me when this past summer. So every summer, it's my non-negotiable. The one thing I save my money for is a She Recovers. Well, it's not through She Recovers anymore. It's actually through Terrence Strong, who is one of the founders of She Recovers. So I go every year to Salt Spring Island, where I attend a yoga retreat on Stowell Lake Farm, which is the most beautiful farm. And I have beautiful food. We do beautiful yoga and just have connection with other women in recovery, whatever recovery means to them. We were doing yoga one day, and all of a sudden it just like flew in this thought of, what are you trying to heal with your spending? And I was doing a yoga practice at the time, and I just stopped everything and I usually have a journal beside my mat, and just wrote it down, like, what are you trying to heal with your spending? Because it just felt so good to even say that out loud. And to That's the heart of all of this, right? When it comes to our money and our spending, a lot of times, as you've probably heard me say, it has nothing to do with the money. It actually has to do with what's on inside of our hearts. It's what's actually going on that we're needing to heal. What are you trying to heal? What are you reaching outside of yourself for, to try to feel different, to maybe numb out, to escape? And I know a big piece for me was when I wasn't drinking anymore, and it was, you know, I couldn't numb out on alcohol anymore. Abstinence was what was happening there. And so, that's what sobriety meant to me. And then so it was like, okay, well, here comes spending, off to save the day. We're going to save the day with spending and numbing out that way. And so I think what I think about when I look back at my journey and what I used to try to heal with my spending, the first thing that automatically comes to mind is the stress I felt at work. And because a big piece of me would always, like, on my lunchtime, I would be shopping or shopping online. And I worked in a bank that had, I would say it was mostly women that worked there. I honestly did. I think that through the years, I didn't have a ton of male coworkers, which I don't know if that's just, I don't even know what that means, but it was always like a lot of women, and there was always a lot of talk about, one, alcohol. So that was a huge part of the culture in the financial industry. But then it was clothes. It was, what does it look like? What do you look like? Which really comes down to my overall biggest wound, is never feeling like I was enough, and I still struggle with that, not feeling like I'm enough. And I had told the story on a previous episode, so if you want to go back to it, it is, I think it was about when I realized, like, how my spending addiction started. But what happened was that, short story is, there was a time where my family was really struggling financially. And I was in grade, I would say probably 6 or 7. I was in middle school, and someone had dropped off clothes at my mom's, where she worked, which was like a community services based business where they helped, the community. Someone dropped off donations, and she took some of them home because they were all my sizes. They were beautiful clothes. And I came to school a couple days later wearing one of the outfits. I felt so good. I just felt so good, and I felt so excited. And one of the girls who used to own the clothes that her mom donated, called me out in the middle of a stairwell at middle school saying, "Oh, hey, Linda's wearing my old clothes. Linda's wearing my hand-me-downs." And I I even talking about it, I can feel it in my chest. And oh, and I really remember thinking I was not worthy. I was not worthy of feeling good. I didn't look good because of what was happening with other people making fun of me because, oh, I was wearing quote unquote hand-me-downs. And that is a big wound for me. So I have always been a person who always tried to dress a certain way, to appear to be a certain way, because that's how I found my worth. That's how I found that people reacted positively to me because of how I looked. I won best dressed in my grad year awards. Like I looked freaking good. And I also looked really good when I was in my career as a financial advisor. And even today, like I do love clothes. I love outfits and, really feeling good in my clothes. But when I was really struggling in my spending addiction, it just like I was buying something new every day. So when it comes to that healing piece and what I was trying to heal with my spending, really came down to when I was working and I was so stressed out. I burnt out a couple times in my career, just really pushing myself way too hard. The stress was way too much. But if I looked good, then everything was okay. If I came to work in an outfit that everybody made a comment on, everything was okay. I was trying to heal the stress, the anger, the unhappiness that I was experiencing in my job. And another layer of it then comes down to family and our sometimes our family of origin. And I don't know if I've met a person that had a perfect childhood. That just doesn't exist, right? We all have something that we carry with us from our ancestors, from our relatives, from our childhood, family of origin that we carry with us. And I have been doing some really deep work the last couple years with a therapist. And I've always known that like I'm always in a really hyper like state of arousal essentially, like my nervous system is always in overdrive, like, and so she really pointed out to me like CPTSD is something that I experienced. And so PTSD is described as an event that happens, and CPTSD is an event that happens, but then it just keeps happening and happening, and it's part of that cycle of your life. And really understanding that has also helped me understand when I was really knee deep in my spending addiction, because I was always like super stressed out and so heightened all the time. And I still am that way sometimes. Trying to calm myself down is a huge part of my work because I'm living in a really heightened state a lot. And in that heightened state, I'm not making great financial decisions. And that was a big piece of my spending addiction. And so, you have all that stuff that your body's trying to process from, let's say, childhood, middle school, like, all of the things that have happened in our lives. And when I met my husband, he has 2 kids, and I stepped into the role as a stepmom. And it's a really hard role to fill. And it brought it and it still does, and it's work I continue to do because I know what's really important work is that I never felt worthy. I never felt like I belonged because I wasn't a mother. I was a stepmom, but I wasn't a mother. I was and that's also a deep wound, our mother wounds, and how that shows up in our lives and shows up in our spending. And if I, again, looked the part, acted the part, um, then all was good. And I know that that really affected me. And it was hard. And, my mom was always really focused on me having children of my own. And that wasn't part of my story. And so the stress of that really weighed on me a lot. So that layer of family, right? Trying to heal that and feel better with spending money on stuff that didn't actually make me feel better. Codependency. I joke around that I, was born codependent, like here I am with the little stork arrival. Stork? Yeah. I don't know if that sounds right. The little bird that like gets you to like your birth stork? I don't know. Anyway, so I can hear other people on the other end going like, "No, it's this," or "Yeah, that's what it is." But and I was born codependent and I always put other people before me. Again, a really big piece of the work I'm doing. And that used to look like buying gifts. That looked like Christmases and birthdays were kind of over the top because I was trying to buy people's love sometimes. And when I think about that, I hear that story a lot with people of if I'm always trying to be giving and I feel better about myself when I'm giving to others. And does it actually make us feel better about ourselves if we don't have the money to do that and we're just like giving, giving, giving? And, it brings me to, how full is your cup? Like, how are you filling your cup? Right. And that codependency piece for me, that people pleasing, that perfection, when it came and got tied with money, that's really where things really ramped up as well. So, my therapist said this thing to me a while ago, because during my journey lately, because, in recovery, in sobriety, a lot of us experience, addiction transference. So that goes from I was, drinking, then it was spending, and food has always been something that I soothed myself with, as it started as a kid, and I'm unpacking that of my disordered eating. And she said something, that really I found profound and related to spending as well, is that it's a process addiction. And what I mean by that and what she meant by that is that, when we come to realize, like, if we're not drinking anymore, we're not doing drugs, our drug of choice. And, abstinence is a way to, go through that process. But when it comes to something like food, something like spending, sex addiction, like all of the different things that are experienced and can be addictive behavior, there's a process to that recovery in regards to it's not going to look perfect. And it's something that you are going to have a process and a processing time, and it's going to be a very long process. And I'm not saying that, recovery from your drug of choice, alcohol, drugs, whatever, isn't a process, but it comes down to that abstinence piece. But when it comes to food and spending, it's a lot of it's not a linear journey. It's up and down and it's never going to be perfect, and really trying to give ourselves some grace and learn learn from the next, like, just making the next right decision. It's a process. And it is an up and down process. Again, like when it comes to spending, I still have moments where it's like, "Oh, I wanna buy this, I wanna buy that." I still have those moments, but how I process it and how I move forward. So, learning from past behaviors. Because if I ask myself the question, "What am I trying to heal with this spending?" I have to really dig deep for the answers. So I hope that, kind of sparked some intrigue into, really thinking about your purchases. What is your why behind the buy? Why are you purchasing this? How are you feeling? How's your body feeling? Are you present? And a lot of the times we're not, of course, right? Because we're just off to the races and our addictive brain takes off on us. But again, taking that step back, this work all of the time is it's not really about the money. It's about what are we trying to heal? What's actually going on inside? How am I feeling? What's going on? And being present to that and mindful and conscious and sober, just like the sober spending. So I hope that just an invitation for you to have a little think next time you are spending. I am hosting a free workshop next Wednesday, September the 20th. It is going to be at 4 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Central, and 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and it is the why behind the buy. In the workshop, we're going to investigate just what I'm talking about. What are we trying to heal? Why are we purchasing what we're purchasing? Having an opportunity to pause, the power in that pause. And what does that mean? You can sign up at lindaparmar.com. I have it on my homepage there, a link in my bio and my Instagram, Linda Parmar Coach. And the link for the website is lindaparmar.com/why behind the buy, but you can also find it on my homepage at lindaparmar.com. Thank you so much for being here today, listening to this lesson. I would love for you to leave a review if it's something that you loved. I would love to get more of the message of financial sobriety and financial sobriety school to those who need it, because I get the feedback all the time of how much these lessons help. So I am here to support. Subscribe, leave a review. I would love the support. Thank you so much, and I will see you next lesson. Bye.